Hiya, this is the 10th video in the Losing Amelie series, so it's the 22nd of August, and it's been a couple of months since I've done a video. Um, I've just been busy and just not been able to sort of put time into it. I had quite a lot of things to do on different weekends and stuff, and been travelling, so apologies for that. But yeah, I also been speaking to a few people about these videos, and some people have sort of said that they don't really care about the duration of them. And I think that sort of makes sense while I'm doing this storytelling element, but I will try and keep them to a reasonable time, but I probably won't be as conscious as I was before. Like watching the clock, I think it's more important that I get the full part of the story out, or element of the story, than stick to a time. But we'll see how it goes. What I did say in the last video, that I actually said that I'll do two things in this video, which I won't do both. But one is I would tell the story of what happened the day before, which is quite important information, particularly at this point in the storytelling because of what happens next. In that we end up going to speak to detectives, so and then also I speak to more people and end up having to tell them more about what essentially that information. So it makes sense to drop it in now. The other thing was I wanted to talk about the memory box, which is the name I found out was the correct name for it, which was the thing that Charlotte brought in, which I do want to show, but I won't show that today. So I want to focus this video on Amelie's sort of last day, I suppose. So, without sounding too dramatic about it, but and what we did. And so, as I've already explained, I spent 4 days that week, just started a brand new job, training up in London, and then that Friday I worked from home and Amelie was around, and then on the Saturday because Bex was heavily pregnant and she'd had nothing but just having to look after Amelie for 4 days, 4 and a bit days, because I sort of helped on the Friday, obviously. I said I would, I'll do the lion's share of stuff with Amelie that day. So, get her up and get meals, take her places, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, no, I'll try and recount everything that I can remember. I'll probably jump a bit all over the place. I'll probably forget stuff, but let's go for it. So, yeah, on Saturday, so it was a Saturday. On Saturday mornings, me and Amelie, Bex came as well, but I took Amelie to swimming lessons. As I said before, that was quite an important thing with us, sort of bonding wise, and it was something we both look forward to. Well, she looked forward to it. She enjoyed it when she was there. I looked forward to it. Yeah, so we did that as normal. No, there was nothing. There was nothing that told me that Amelie was feeling ill during. There was a normal session. She loved it. I can actually really specifically remember. So that we were doing this thing where you have to stand the kids on the side of the swimming pool. They usually have to sit and then like fall in, and then you'd have to maybe dunk them under or whatever, and then they have to turn around and hold on to the side. And what we started doing was getting them to stand up and then jump in. And I can remember really clearly being stood obviously in front of Amelie, and standing her up and then saying, right, come on, jump. And her sort of like smiling and shaking her head like there was like this trepidation about it. But she did it and it, like enjoyed it. But I can remember that really clearly, that memory, like of her not wanting to do it but not being scared. Well, obviously scared but not being terrified. She still did it because she knew I was there. And that's quite a nice little thought. It's only a 3-second, 4-second thing that happened, but it's very clear in my mind. Anyway, yeah, so we finished the lessons like 30 minutes. We then had like a, pretty much a ritual where me and Bex would take Amelie into the changing rooms. I would go and get changed. I'd then go and get the car, meet him outside, did all that stuff. Nothing, Amelie was fine. And then now Amelie would have napped, and I can't recall. She normally, in the same with Grace, and now when we do the swim with him, they nap after the swim. So either in the car or shortly after we get in. So I imagine Amelie would have napped. I can't recall it, but that would have happened. And then the rest of the day, well, apart from 2 hours in the early afternoon, I spent the whole day with her. you know. So prior to swimming, I'd have given her some food, a little bit, give her some more food when she got home, or when we got home, and then yeah, we just spent the day doing lots of different things. So there would, like, on any given weekend day, there were a number of things that we would do as a family typically. So go and see Bex's family, who live very local to us in Windsor. Um, Someone may visit us, or we would go to like a farm or a park, or we'd go and do like loads of stuff in the garden at that time because it was summer, and we just bought her a slide and a little like a plastic Wendy house thing that she loved, and a little car thing that I'd push her around in. So yeah, it was just sort of and then, oh yeah, she liked bubbles as well. So we did basically like all of that sort of stuff throughout the day, different increments. We spent some time watching TV together. She had different nursery rhymes she liked, different songs she liked, and I put them on through YouTube on the telly. Um, we read books. We played different games that she liked. Remember we did some. She loved doing. She wasn't very good. She scribbled, but she loved doing like colouring in and drawing. So we did a bit of that. There's so on our fridge we have this like magnetic sign, about an A4 sheet of paper size. Me and Bex use it to, or did use it to, sort of write stuff that we need to get from Tesco's on, you know, like when we run out of something or something we wanted the other, you know, whoever was going to the shops next, pick this stuff up. Amelie loved that. She loved writing on it, so where it was magnetic, I could slide it down to the bottom of the fridge, give her the pen, and she'd scribble all over it. Then she'd try a lot trying to scribble on the actual fridge, and I'd tell her off. Or she'd sort of go toward, like, tease me by going towards the wall next to it and, you know, moving the pen close, but then never quite doing it because she knew it was wrong. So she was quite cheeky. But yeah, she did that. Still got the last one she did. We haven't removed it yet. It's still on our fridge. The scribbles that she did. We no longer use that A4 magnetic thing for what we want from the shop. We may one day. I don't know. I don't feel. It's a really strange feeling. Like, and you have to be careful about doing this, I suppose, when you lose a loved one in general, is turning everything into a shrine or something that's so important for them. But the way I look at it, like, I see these scribbles. I don't study it or anything, but I just think there's nothing more important that I can put on there than what's on there. So I just leave it. And you know, Bex may feel the same. I may come home one day and Bex has wiped it off, and that's absolutely fine. It's just, for the time being, it's, you know, and since Amelie passed away, we just, I don't know, I can't think of a better use. So it's just staying as it is. Maybe when Grayson starts drawing on stuff, her little brother, we might do it and let him do it. I don't know. But yeah, so that was one. And that's a very small little thing. But like throughout all of this, and these are all different things, we did loads of stuff that day. I did the bubbles in the garden with her when we were drawing. So me and her sat. She had this little table and chairs that we'd bought. I was sat on one of the little chairs, and we were drawing stuff together. And I remember I had to tell her off at one point because she was drawing on the actual table. And she didn't like it. And I remember saying to her, so I used to always word things to her in a way that she would nod and say yes. So rather than telling her what, and you know, within reason, obviously it's not always possible, but rather than tell her what not to do, tell her what to do. So draw on the paper, you know, but when it comes to telling her off, you often say what not to do. You know, if it was sort of like a scolding, if you like. I can remember she's in the habit of nodding, like her bottom lip was out, and I said to her, "You're not going to do that again, are you?" And she like nodded, yeah. And I remember chuckling about it, but yeah. So I remember having to rephrase it, and then I remember I tried to get her this, like, so her speech was coming along quite nicely. She said a few words like turtle, and she'd say different names of like animals and stuff. She couldn't say her own name, Amelie, but she would say Mimi. She literally just started saying that like 2 weeks, week and a half before. So yeah, her speech was coming on. She'd say no. That was one of the first things she said to me, which was quite funny. And she said, I asked her to do something, and she just turned around and said no. And I tried not to laugh, and I had to repeat myself because she was stood up on a chair. But anyway, yeah. So I remember trying to get her to say yes, and it upset her and it made her cry even more. I felt awful. And that sort of got to me a little bit after she passed away. Like, I made her cry on her last day, and I shouldn't have done. Like, I pushed her too hard on something that I knew she probably wouldn't be able to do, and it was sort of the wrong time and place to do it because I'd already just told her off. And anyway, yeah, so like that. It doesn't bother me now. It sort of did for a little while, because it's, you sort of, looking back, you value that last day or your last moments with her, right? So yeah, that it's not ideal that I made her cry, but now I sort of laugh about it because it was quite a funny little thing. What else did we do? So I actually, because I just started a job, part of my benefits of my job is to be able to get a car and order a car. So I had to go to a car dealership that day, in Ascot, and I didn't. I didn't take Amelie. I was going to take her with me because I'd already spoke to the sales guy a couple of times, and with leading up to me getting this job and starting it, so I sort of knew I was getting a car anyway, and I've gone through the selection process of it. And obviously, the sales guy James there he'd heard us talk about Amelie, he'd met Bex, seen that she's pregnant, sort of knew our little family story. And I remember thinking, oh, I'll take her up there, but I didn't. And I thought I'd only be there 30 minutes. I ended up being there 2 hours in the early afternoon. And I was sort of quite apologetic to Bex when I came back, that I'd taken so much time. She was cool. And then I think while I was out, Bex had taken her out on a little trike and pushed her around. I remember one of our neighbours saying that to me a few days after Amelie passed away. He's sort of saying, "I only just saw her," sort of thing. So the day before. So yeah, and so it was a very, like, what I suppose I'm trying to get across is, like, it was very normal. There were no alarm bells. She didn't have low energy. She wasn't incoherent. She wasn't it wasn't dizzy or any of the other sort of, I don't know, there was no sort of telltale signs that Amelie had something wrong with her. But what she did have was a really good day with me, and I really enjoyed it, and so did she. And we got loads done, and it was fantastic. And so Amelie had like as I suppose most kids do, have like a go into bed process, like a ritual of like reading a book and putting her pajamas. Well, obviously starts with having a bath, and then getting her dressed for bed, going downstairs, getting her some milk, all of this stuff. She was sort of used to it. I remember once we got the milk, we went and said goodnight to Bex, took her upstairs, and yeah, what I remember that was sort of out of the ordinary was, but something I was pleased about, was that Amelie fell asleep very quickly. And I thought, oh, she's tired. We've done loads today. So Amelie didn't fall asleep very easily. So you'd have to stay in the room with her, keep your hand on her until she fell asleep, and then slowly move your hand off, and then slowly creep away, trying not to make the floorboards creak, trying to make sure that too much light didn't come in when you open the door. There's a science to it. Yeah, so I put her to bed. I laid down on the floor next to the cot. I put my hand through, and she like held. I think she wanted. I'm fairly sure actually she held both my hands. Sometimes she put one through, sometimes two. Held both my hands. I let go of one. She started to doze off. I kept hold of the other one. Let go of that, and then just left her as normal to go to sleep. And it took all of 10 minutes from when she maybe, oh yeah, so she would have had her bottle. It's quite an important piece. Well, sort of important because the police talked about it. But yeah, she had a bottle. She then handed me the bottle, and I remember I was trying to get her into the habit of me being able to walk out of the room. So I walked over to like near the door and put the bottle on her like little dresser, and then walked back and tried not to make a big deal of it. But I was trying to sort of get her used to like not always having us there. So yeah, so her empty bottle, and I was terrible at leaving the empty bottles in the room, because where it was sort of, I know it's the summer, but it was still sort of semi-dark for the blinds and everything. I just forget that I'd left it, I'd had it in the room. Anyway, so yeah, she nodded off very quickly. I crept out the room, went downstairs, gloated to Bex that 2 nights in a row, because I'd done the night before as well, and she'd gone to sleep quickly then. It didn't take me long at all, and I was pleased with myself. Bex said she heard Amelie stir at around 10 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock, sort of moving on the baby monitor. I didn't hear that. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't in the room at the time, because we have a little baby monitor in the living room with us. And then me and Bex that night went to bed at the same time. So we both went upstairs together, and went into bed. And I can't remember, but I would say for 100% I would have checked in on Amelie, just sort of poked my head in and just checked, make sure she was okay. And then yeah, we went to bed as normal. And then like, as you know from the second video, we heard her stir around midnight, and she sort of whinged a bit. Not abnormal, like it didn't sound any different to her being grumpy that she'd woke herself up, and we were trying to wait for her to get herself back to sleep. And that was the last we heard of her. So we heard her stir for a few minutes. I was sort of hoping I didn't have to go in there. I think I don't know, it's weird because you sort of feel guilty about that, but any parent thinks that, you want your kid to settle, you don't want to get out of bed. Yeah, and that was it. That was Amelie's last day. And I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably draw out more information about this as I refer back to it, but that's pretty much everything that I can remember. And I know I haven't sequenced it really well, because I can't fully remember the sequence of events with it all, but the bottom line is we did loads of stuff and we had a good day. And I was the one that put her to bed. And there was nothing out of the ordinary in any of it, other than that she went to sleep quick. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to end this one there.